and welcome to this session of Talking Tech, Women and Girls in ICT. My name is Ifeoma Okonji, and I'm delighted to be representing the Women Economic and Leadership Transformation Initiative, WELTI. I am also excited to be having a discussion about tech and tech careers with Kelly Teal. Kelly is the unit head, enterprise and IT infrastructure at the International Atomic Energy Agency in Vienna, Austria. It's good to have you here today, Kelly.
Thank you, Ifeoma. I'm looking forward to our conversation.
Great. Okay, so before we jump right into the conversation, I'd just like to tell us a bit about what Talking Tech is all about. So I'll just need you to relax and just listen to what I have to say about Talking Tech. So Talking Tech is a series celebrating girls and women in tech being recorded around the world between Girls in ICT Day 2020 and Girls in ICT Day 2022. Girls in ICT Day is an international day marked on the fourth Thursday of April. And in 2020, Girls in ICT Day was celebrated on the 23rd of April. The objectives of Girls in ICT Day is to help create a global environment that empowers and encourages girls and young women to consider studies and careers in the growing field of information and communication technologies. The Talking Tech series is brought to you by the ITU, the UNICC, and the Office of the UN Secretary General's Envoy on Youth, and is in support of Equals. That's the Global Partnership for Gender Equality in the Digital Age. Welty is pleased to be a partner on this session today. And the goals of this series include to interest and inspire girls and younger women with information about a range of ICT careers that can be had. It's also to bring before a broader audience some of the role model women in tech and share information about their career journeys and their work. It's also to offer diverse examples of how ICT is being used to support achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals and other UN goals. To showcase initiatives that are working with girls to support them in ICT studies or future ICT careers. And it's also a way of providing girls and young women in tech with a leadership opportunity to represent and promote a girls in tech organization with which they are involved and promote it to a broader international audience. So that's it about what Talking Tech is all about. And to kick this session off, I'm going to introduce to you Welty, which is a nonprofit organization which started some 6 years ago. I have been involved in the training and empowerment of young women to be able to use tech and leverage it for sustainable economic development. I also like the fact that we've been able to achieve this through our programs, especially the Business Meets Technology program and the Youth Empowerment and Leadership Development Camp, which we started last year with a sister organization, Baggy, which is Building All Gender Initiative. The aim is to allow our young girls to go into STEM-related fields and also be able to use technology to be able to meet their needs or goals. So as you can see, a more gender balanced tech world is what I am passionate about, and my organization has been working towards that. And so at this point, I'm really delighted to shift the conversation with Kelly Teal, who, like I said initially, is the unit head, enterprise systems and IT infrastructure at the International Atomic Energy Agency. You're welcome again, Teal.
Thank you.
Very well. So I'll just like to ask you a couple of questions. And the first question will be, when and how did you get into technology?
So I've been interested in technology since I was young, but I think how I really got into it was in my first job. I got my bachelor's degree in mathematics, but with a focus in computer science. And my first job was actually doing statistical analysis. And I found it really, really boring, actually. So instead of doing a lot of statistical analysis, I ended up doing a lot more IT type things. So writing reports and helping people with their systems. And I found that that was what I actually really enjoyed most, was the IT components of my job. So that's when I decided that that's what I wanted to do with my career, and decided that I would change careers and move out of statistical analysis and into an IT career. So that's kind of how I got started. What got you interested in technology?
Oh wow. So for me, my background was actually English, unlike you who actually started from, a STEM related field. Yeah, so in 2015 when I wanted to set up the nonprofit, I figured that because in Lagos where I was at the time, Lagos is very, the traffic situation in Lagos is really, really crazy. So it was a function of how would I be able to have access to people and they don't have to go through the stress of having to commute every day to come to work. And then, of course, doing business in Nigeria is not as easy because of the overhead costs, power outages and all of that. So I said to myself, which way can we actually bring people together and still achieve the goal? So I chose access. So for me, technology, in my own terms, was having access to be able to reach out to people. So that was how, I decided to start a virtual office. So from there, we began to get volunteers who were working with us, people we had not even seen, physically, but because we had the access which technology was giving us, we were able to, work with those people. So for me, 2015 was when I would say I actually, embraced technology in its entirety. Yes. Uh, okay, so the next question will be, what was your path from then to now, and what's your job in tech now?
So my path after that, after realizing that what I really wanted to do was IT, I did go get my MBA with a focus in information systems. And from there, I took a job at IBM. And when I first started at IBM, I was in a very technical role, doing database administration and application architecture. But working for such a big company, one of the things that's great about that is you get the opportunity to try lots of different things. So I was able to try IT finance and IT operations and IT project management. And eventually I worked into leadership roles. And before I left IBM, I was leading the team that was responsible for acquisition IT integration. So a really very interesting and challenging role. And then I left IBM to come join the IAEA because I was really inspired by the overall mission of the United Nations, but specifically the IAEA. It felt like I really could make a difference by supporting their mission. So my current role, I lead the enterprise systems team. So that means we're responsible for all the enterprise systems that are used across the agency. So this includes email, document management. It also includes things like the underlying operating system that our applications run on. And my job as the manager is to help drive and support and set the strategy from an IT perspective. But a big component of my job is actually working with my team, with the people on my team, making sure that they can achieve their goals by helping balance workload, by helping prioritizing, by helping get training and finding the opportunities for people to really utilize their skills and what they're interested in so that they can achieve their goals while supporting the mission of the agency.
Oh, great. So do you have any activities beyond your job that you'd like to tell us about?
I think it's really important to have work-life balance. And one of the things that I absolutely love to do is travel. Of course, in these COVID times, I have not been able to do very much traveling, but I love getting to go to new places and explore, even if it just means, finding a new location here in Vienna that I haven't been to yet. So definitely traveling with my family is something that I love to do sort of outside of work. How about you? Other than Welty, what else do you like to do?
So I actually like to make new friends. I also like to dance, and I love music a lot. So sometimes I find myself, just dancing, and probably someone from the other end is watching what I do and is doing the same, So at the end of the day, we're still using, technology to be able to see what the other person is doing from the other end. And, having, while you were talking about the things that you do beyond your job, I also like the fact that we, from our end, we've been able to, help young female, businesses to start. A lot of people feel like before they start up, they need to have an office space and all of that. So because it has worked for us, we've been able to tell these young women that, look, you can just use simple technological tools to be able to move your business from one level to the next. So for instance, you have a business that just started who wants to probably go and hire a professional accountant, to take care of the inflow and outflow of the business, when you can actually just use Microsoft Excel to be able to do that. So those simple tools, that they can leverage, are the things we try to train and empower these young women to do. So beyond me just, having a passion for other things, I just still see myself coming back to, at every touch point, tell people how they can actually use technology in the simplest of ways. Yeah.
That's great. That's really fantastic.
Yeah. So thank you. I would also like you to share an example or two of things you've done in or with tech that you are particularly proud of, and what's the lesson that you've learned along the way, and how did you even overcome whatever challenges that you may have seen in the process?
Okay, that's a lot of questions in one. I'll try to answer those. What I like about tech, what I'm proud of, honestly, at the agency, I'm proud of the work that we do every single day to connect the agency to its member states, to make sure that the agency can support its member states, but also the work that we do to make sure that the people working within the agency can get their work done. And it's getting to work with the people on my team, it's getting to work with our clients within the agency, and I think that's one of the things that I am very proud of, is the work that we do really to connect the people within the agency, but also to connect the agency to our member states. Another thing that I'm very, very proud of is when I was working at IBM, as I mentioned, my last role with them before I moved to the agency was leading a team responsible for IT integration of acquired companies. And again, it's about bringing people together and making those connections, similar to what you were saying, where you get to see the other person and really connect with them. And when a company gets acquired, there's so many things that are happening, but the work that we did to really make them connect with IBM, to make sure that they could connect with their new peers, and really get up to speed on all that IBM had to offer, was so important. And I think it really helped make that acquired company feel like they were a part of IBM. A lesson learned along the way would be to take risks. That's my number one lesson. That's what I share with my kids. It's what I tell people, when they ask me what advice would I give, my number one piece of advice would be to take risks. Whether it's personally or professionally. The jobs that I was the most anxious about taking were the ones that I also felt the most fulfilled by and really got the most out of, because it was a risk and I had to learn and I had to grow, through that particular position or particular role that I took on. And from a personal perspective, the same. The job here at the agency here in Vienna, we had never even visited Vienna, and I agreed to take the job and moving my entire family over to Vienna, having never even visited, like I said. So, that's a very big personal risk to move your whole family to someplace you've never been. But again, it's been an amazing experience. We all have learned and grown and had such a great time living here, and it wouldn't have happened if I hadn't been willing to take that risk. So I think that's, the one lesson, if I could share, would be to take risks. And I think the last part of your question was on challenges I had to overcome. And I will say I've worked very, very hard to get where I am, but I also have been very lucky. I was able to work for a company that was very supportive of women when I worked for IBM. They had a female CEO, Ginny Rometty. And here at the agency too, they're very supportive of women, and they demonstrate it. You know, they have a commitment to get to gender parity in our professional categories by 2025. And I think when you work for a company and for people who are supporting women and trying to make sure that there is gender parity and that there is equality, it allows you to really focus on your own achievements and trying to make sure that you're being the best you can. So I would say actually the biggest challenge that I had was probably internal, making sure that I was confident in my skills and abilities, making sure that I didn't hold myself back, that I knew what I could do and put myself out there and really advocated for myself and went after roles that were maybe a risk, right? And made myself anxious, but ultimately, you know, saying, look, you can do this, you know, sort of having that confidence doesn't always come naturally. And so in some ways that was a challenge for me, was to put myself out there and really have that confidence in myself to achieve things. So I think that would be my biggest challenge. I can imagine you had some very big challenges in starting your organization. What was one of your biggest?
Oh, yes. Yeah, initially, yes. I mean, you know, the question people will ask is who even starts a nonprofit without having a physical office space, you know? And, you know, one thing is being able to identify, you know, what is not working at the moment and decide to take a risk. So like you said, you know, you took a risk, but ultimately you knew where you were headed. So for me at the time, I mean, with limited resources, it was just a no-brainer that, you know, we needed to just start little. So I said, this risk, we're going to take it regardless of whether people feel like nonprofits must have an office space. Let's even begin to work from where we are. And we took the risk and it paid off because 3 years into when we had started, you know, we started putting our work out there from day one. And then organizations we have partnered with, the likes of System Specs, they have a product, a service called Remita, where people can actually, you know, make transactions and all. And then we also partnered with Microsoft at the time in Nigeria. They gave us software donations.
Oh, great.
Yes. And then also Blue Chip Technology, they owned Paystack at the time. So they partnered with us and they had not even seen us. They didn't even know the face behind Welty. But because they had seen what we were doing online, they could trust, you know, that these people were actually doing what they say they do. So that risk we took, or I took rather, you know, it paid off in the end, because you find that sometimes when you feel that you're not enough, or you're not even confident of what you're doing. So those are the two things I took from you: risk, confidence. You know, I had to do all of that bit. I took the risk. I was confident that we were going to go somewhere. Now look at us 6 years after. We're not there yet. We're still, you know, working towards being there. But I can say that, you know, our risk has paid off. Whatever challenges we experienced, we're still overcoming them. Because I feel like, you know, a lot of young women today allow, you know, their gender or people around them, the things they say, to stifle, you know, the things they can do. So, you know,
Right.
part of what we do when we're empowering these young women, that regardless of your gender, take the risk, be confident of what you can do, and you just begin to see progress, basically. So yeah, that's how it has been from our end. Thank you
Definitely. Great.
for reiterating that risk and confidence is very key in doing the best you can. So since this series is about girls and women in tech, Kelly, do you have any career or tech advice for girls and younger women in tech? I know you've talked about risk, you've talked about confidence, but
Yep.
I want to believe there's a plethora of other things that you feel, you know, these young girls and women may want to hold on to. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think in some ways you're a perfect example of the advice I would give, which is finding your path. Because I think sometimes we look and we say, okay, I see this person doing this role, and that's the role, you know, that I'm going to head towards, but maybe that's not the right role for you. And it's so important to look at what you're passionate about, but also where are your skills? What are you good at? What do you enjoy doing? You know, for me, when I started, I was good at math, but I didn't enjoy the statistical analysis at all. And so I couldn't imagine myself, you know, spending the rest of my life doing that kind of work, because it would not be enjoyable. And we do spend a lot of time working. And so, you know, the thing I would say would be find your own path and find what not only what you're good at, but what you're passionate about, what will build on your skills. You know, there are people who are really good at organizing and managing things, and, you know, going into like IT project management would be a perfect fit for them, you know, because that's what they're good at and that's what they enjoy. And so I say, you know, don't just head down a path that someone else has defined for you. Try to find your own path based on what you're passionate about and what you're good at. How about you? You must have some other great advice that you could give to girls or women.
Yes,
in IT.
Yes, I agree with the points you've made. And for me, the young women or girls in IT should not see it as something really complex, you know, that they can, you know, go into. Just choose something that works for you. So me, for myself, for example, like I said, my background is actually English, but, you know, I didn't need to go into those very, will I call it, the difficult part of tech. I just needed tech for something.
Right.
I needed it for access. So every young girl there should be able to say, okay, this is what I need to use tech for. And do not think that because you're a young lady, you know, you're a girl, you just have to put yourself at the back corner and say, no, you can't do it. It's complex. Again, risk comes in. So take the risk. You just never know how far it's going to take you, and also be confident. That is what I will stress to these young women, because I mean, I was there and look at me now. And then my advice also would also go to the tech companies as well. You know, I feel like most of these tech companies should not be afraid, you know, to support the work that people are doing. I'm talking from the nonprofit space now. You know, do not, you know, look at the work they're doing and just feel like it's nothing. So when they see social projects, you know, that they can latch onto, they should not look at it that it may not amount to anything. They should look at it as a social investment, because I feel like, you know, nonprofits are actually like the middle men or women between those organizations and the community. So once they're able to see this, you know, it will go a long way. And a case in point is referencing these organizations that worked with us. They didn't know us, but, you know, they had tech products or services that they were giving out, and they saw it as a platform to be able to support the work we were doing. And it paid off, because most of the young business owners who did not even know about these products or services like Paystack and Remita, they latched onto those products and they're using them now. So I feel like if tech companies should do more of social investing, I think it will also encourage these young women to be able to, you know, bring out the ideas that they have. And I mean, it's a win-win for everybody. That's what I feel.
Definitely.
So I think this pretty much wraps up our session for today, Kelly, for Talking Tech, Women and Girls in ICT. I think it was really inspiring having to see that as a lady. I mean, you have a family, you were willing to take a risk, you left your comfort zone, and you went to a territory you had never even been to before, you know, and look at you now, you're doing really well. I'm really grateful I've spoken to you today, and I feel like other young women who have listened to us would have taken a thing or two away from this conversation. So thank you so much for being here with me this morning, Kelly.
And I want to thank you, Ifeoma. This has been a really great, fantastic conversation, and I think women will be inspired by you too. I mean, I'm inspired by you and all that you've accomplished, you know, sort of starting from nothing in terms of your tech, and look at where you are today. So again, I thank you very much, and you really are an inspiration.
Thank you so much, Kelly. Have a good day.
You too.
Bye-bye.